You're listening to Influential Barbecue, the podcast where we talk to influencers in the barbecue industry to uncover how they've cultivated huge followings, unique income sources, and sponsorship possibilities from a love of cooking outdoors. If you want to turn your passion for food and fire into a world of opportunities, you're in the right place. And now your host, Jordan Moore.
Welcome back to another episode of Influential Barbecue. This episode is going to be great for all of those who have thought about or are thinking about doing your own sort of spice blend business. I sit down and I chat with Joel and Stacy of Reload Rubs and That Reload podcast, and they are just such down-to-earth people, super cool to chat with, and so full of knowledge in this field. So just enjoy this episode, learn everything you can, and make sure you go give Reload Rub and That Reload podcast a follow on your preferred social media networks. And with that, let's get into the episode. Welcome back to another episode of Influential Barbecue. This week, I've brought out the heavy artillery. I've got Joel and Stacy of Reload Rubs here with me today. Thank you guys both so much for joining me today.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to be here.
It's nice to have another podcaster on here again because the flow is just so much more natural than, some people aren't as technologically advanced. You guys have your microphones. You got the system set up, a beautiful light behind you with your logo. It's amazing.
Thank you.
We're a special breed, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone not familiar with you or your company, can you just give us a bit of an overview of who you are and what you guys are all about?
Yeah, so our company is Reload Rub Seasoning. We're a tactical based company, but our seasoning company, our mantra is that we want to give back, and we use that word reload in that context where
kind of interchangeably.
Me and Stacy are just two people that want to put God first and give back through this company, which is to try to help people to learn how to one, capture what it is that reloads them, whether that's hiking or hunting or fishing or mountain climbing or knitting a sweater. Who gives a crap? If it fills you up, figure out what that is and do that. And two, to kind of reload back into the family lifestyle of sitting around a dinner table and breaking bread together.
Yeah, so we started out in 2017. We're approaching our 5-year anniversary. Started out with one seasoning, and now we have 7 with more things down the pipeline. So
yeah.
That's where we're at right now.
That's incredible. I'd love, giving back in general is kind of where barbecue truly stems from too. So the fact that you're really building that into the brand, giving back, and just having everyone kind of get back to who they are and what they truly believe in through barbecue is, I think, probably the best homage you can pay to it.
Amen.
Yeah.
So it's the question I ask everybody, but how did you guys get into barbecue?
You mean to start?
So I don't even know, barbecue. I would say Reload actually got us into barbecue per se, but we started out our company more as Joel comes from a hunting background. I do not come from a hunting background. So whenever we decided to get married, he cooked a lot of wild game. And I felt like there was a stigma behind cooking wild game.
I was good at it, baby.
Yeah, he's so good at it. There was a stigma behind cooking wild game where it's gamey or it doesn't taste good. And long story short, through cooking more wild games and stuff, created our own rub.
That's it, man.
That was more for cooking style, and then having this company and working with influencers and then just being in the community has really gotten us into actual barbecue. So I would say the company got us there.
It did 100%. When we launched our first blend, Fully Loaded, when we started this company, we were both full-time. Stacy, at the time was a full-time RN, and I'm a full-time steel guy. And we were sitting here looking at each other. Do we want to do this? We want to go down that path of starting this company because we didn't need to. Prior to starting the company, I was kind of an online ambassador. I'm the artist formerly known as the Home Cooking Hunter. So, when me and her were dating and all that, I served her venison cooked properly for the first time. she really pushed me saying, you've got to do something with this. You have to show people that there's more to this than just, smothering everything in gravy and frying it. Not
like share your recipes.
Yeah, but not that I don't like fried food or things smothered in gravy now, but I'm just, there was more to it. And from that, when she talks about we started our first blend, we were sitting in the living room and she goes, let's make a blend. So I didn't
just for cooking purposes.
I didn't want to because, bro, I was killing it in the social media game at the time. For when Instagram first started, and people were sending me stuff left and right. So we had cabinets full of all kinds of different spices, and I've never in my life had intentions to have my own rub company. I've always had a passion for food and cooking and serving others, but to sell your own spices, I just never was there. But we got in the kitchen and we poured stuff in bowls and we were drinking beers and, having a great time with each other. And that's good. Let's put a little more of this, a little more of that. And, finally, that's good. Let's do that. And still, it wasn't, I want to sell this. We were giving it out to friends and family. And, her parents would go up to the Amish country and we would bring back
just bulk seasonings,
bulk Amish spices, man. And so we're bottling this stuff. And we just couldn't keep up.
And we had a few downfall moments that led to us to actually becoming a company that.
So I was on a hunting show and my segment was a cooking segment. And I had a seasoning company sponsor that segment with me. And we developed a great working relationship. It was great. And this kind of kicked us in the butt to say we can do this better. We, at one point, he approached me about investing into his company. And we prayed about it and we did it. And then it got burned.
He stole our money.
Oh. And and it was a good chunk of change, but it wasn't enough to where we're not going to just go fight over court over this for months and months and months.
An annoying amount.
Yeah, we let it go, but it kicked us in the butt to say, we had all these goals and saying we're gonna change this dude's company. We're gonna do, and then when that didn't happen, we're like, well, what do we do with all these ideas? And we had a buddy of ours who owned a jerky company. And sorry if I'm going down a rabbit hole, but
no, I love it.
He owned a jerky company, and I sent him, or Stacy sent him, a sample of our stuff. And at the time, it was called HCH, Home Cooking Hunter Redneck Rub. And we just wrote it in Sharpie on the little jar we sent out.
Yeah,
but,
I love it.
But he got it, and he called us and goes, did you make this? And I said, yeah. And he said, this is the best seasoning I've ever tasted. He said, I've been looking for one that has this level of savoriness that I can't find in anything else. He goes, how much MSG you putting in there? I'm like, none. And he's like, he goes, I can't believe there's not MSG in this. So anyways, rounding it out, he goes, if you don't sell this, he goes, you're stupid. He goes, I will buy the recipe from you if you don't sell this. And we looked at each other and we prayed about it, bro. And here we are now sitting on Reload Rub Seasonings. We launched Fully Loaded, one singular flavor. And I'm telling you, it was beautiful because the relationships that I had formed up to that point with all these people online, being an ambassador and in the hunting community and the outdoors community, and all these people that I have developed these beautiful relationships with, they immediately we got to support them. We got to jump on that train. So, I mean, we were like off the rip, we already had a good foothold in getting our name out there, from that. But that's how we were born, bro, is one flavor.
That's a great story because it's just, we tried something, it didn't work, and then what's more impressive is you guys were slamming back beers, and the next morning you still liked your blend.
Hey, man.
Yeah, we did.
That's right.
And we had to take care of kids.
Oh, yeah. That's true. They do not care if you're hungover.
Yeah, and that's how you know it's a good rub. If you're a 2-4 deep and you wake up the next morning, go, I'd still eat that. That's great stuff.
That's right.
So are you both full-time with Reload now, or are you still working steel, Joel?
I'm still working steel. Stacy's full-time in the business, but I'm a partner in a family business, and it's me, my brother, my father, and that's something that is, that's true to my heart, something that I helped build, and I'm still involved with that. Reload is as successful as it is. Stacy is holding it down hard, but
it's tough.
If it ever, and at some point, if it does get to where Reload has to have me, then that's where my heart's at, and that's where I'll be. But right now, she's kicking butt, taking names.
She is. She didn't waste any time getting back to me on my request. I had a sample pack on my doorstep within a week. I used some of the premium blend on a burger this evening. It was fantastic. So
I'm telling you, dude, she's a freaking boss. She is. And that's one of her things she prides herself on is speed and customer service. Tell me more. But no, that's one thing that she's always, since day one, bro, it's been about how can I make our customers feel like we care about them the way, or show our customers that we care about them.
Friends.
Yeah, the way that we do.
yeah, that's a good way to do it, because especially now in this social media world, everyone's seeing you all the time. There's no hiding away in an office and ignoring emails, because they can message you 18 different ways if something's gone wrong. And then they tell everybody and it explodes from there and you're canceled and that's it. Right?
What's funny, bro, is that, especially when we first started, everyone would message her and they'd be like, "What's up, bro? Hey, man, what's going on, dude?
Brother."
And then she was like, she'd go, "What's up, homie?" She just like roll with it.
Yeah, man.
Just take the full step of explaining that you are not Joel out of the way and just get on with the sale.
We're there now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you created this spice blend in your kitchen. How did you go? I mean, I guess it's different in every state and every province for the Canadian listeners, but how did you go from mixing a bunch of spices up in your kitchen to packaging it and legally selling it? What was the process like for you there? Because I feel there's a lot of people that think, hey, I can throw some blends together, something I use all the time, and I can just start selling it. But it's a very long process to get that up and running, I think.
It was a good 5 or 6 months before we could actually have product in our hand of working with it. So we were lucky enough to be involved, like he had said, with the owner of what used to be Jerky Gold Marinade. He kind of walked us through it. So, first step is creating an LLC or creating your business. There's a lot of behind the scenes things with that. You take your recipe, you've got to find a co-packer. Some co-packers do sauces, dips. Some of them do dry seasonings.
Yeah, but that was eye-opening.
Yeah.
The co-packer.
All of those have minimum weights. So you might have to start out. You're not a business yet. Don't even have a clientele. And, you got to start out with 600 or 800 bottles. And you're thinking, well, I can get all of this, but am I going to be sitting on it?
And that's and that's if you can find a co-packer that will do that amount for you.
Yeah.
Some of them are, order 2,000 pounds of one flavor from me. And in seasonings, that's a lot.
You've got to create the label design. You've got to create the name. You've got to create the descriptions on the bottle. Once you do find a co-packer, you've got to go through nutrition testing, fill weight testing, stuff like that. So
website,
security ticket. I mean, there's just a lot that goes into it. We have to have liability insurance because it's an edible product. Annual filing fees and state fees, and there's a lot of behind the scene costs for it, but I don't regret it at all. It's been something that we really enjoy, and it's very fulfilling for us.
The beginning years, like if you're going to start a small business off of anything, those first 1 or 2 years are the hardest. That's when you got to get your grinding pants on. That sounded sexual, but anyways, you got to get ready to grind really hard. And go after it as hard as you can and not take any breaks, because those are the most crucial times that you are going to gain your clientele.
And just with anything else, quantity makes it a lot cheaper. So you're starting out and you want to print out labels. The more labels you print, the cheaper it is. So, if you don't want to start out on a large scale number, your profit is really very low, because seasonings aren't cheap. Depending on what ingredients that you decide to choose to put in your blends, the cost can get up there really quick.
Yeah, and two, on another note, if you're trying to go down this road, especially in the seasoning game, one of the first things, and it's tough, especially if you're nervous, you're talking to this co-packer, and they're telling you need to take this out of your blend. We need to substitute it with this.
Well, they'll give you a price.
Well, they will, but this is gonna save you money. And if you only see the dollar signs in your brain, that's when your product isn't gonna be the same product. Mm-hmm. So when we were shopping different co-packers and going through all the logistics of that, because there was co-packers. The co-packer we use has to freight us our orders. We don't have they're not close enough to make it feasible where we can go pick it up. So, but there were some around us that could, but we wanted the best of the best.
We wanted our own homemade recipes, ones that we were proud of, ones that we actually created ourselves.
That's it.
They would tell us, like, decrease this ingredient by 25% and that would help your costs, or take this one out, maybe put this in. And we were very
no.
Yeah, we were very stuck on, we wanted sea salt or kosher salt. We wanted these certain percentages of certain ingredients that we used. Even like our ballistic blend, for instance, it's an everything bagel blend, but we've kicked it up a notch. We've got an added ingredient and we messed with the ratios a little bit. Toasted black sesame seeds are more expensive, and we upped the ingredient. We upped the percentage on there just because they're freaking delicious. I mean, you throw that on a bagel or avocado toast or your eggs or a steak or ahi tuna, and it's amazing. And the reason it's elevated way more than the one you're going to buy off the shelf is because we didn't skimp on the amounts of each ingredient that we put in the bottles.
But what's wild, bro, is you create this blend in your kitchen and you think this is awesome. And then you send it to a co-packer whose ingredients are fresher and better than the stuff you're getting off the shelves. And you get it back and it's a flavor bomb. Explodes in your mouth. Like Fully Loaded is our initial blend, Fully Loaded. We had parsley flakes in it. Well, you go buy parsley flakes out of a bottle on the shelf, they're flavorless. They're just
they may have been sitting on the shelf for a year.
They're just texture and color when you get it from the grocery store, unless you go get fresh parsley. And we got this back, and it tasted like dirt.
It was earthy.
It was earthy, and she's like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And we talked it out, with our co-packer, and we took that one ingredient out, and there it was. That was exactly what we wanted. And you have to do that sometimes. You create a recipe, you send it, and you got to have a little back and forth with them with samples to get it right, because what they're putting in is going to be more intense and more flavorful than what you're getting at home.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was how have you had to adjust your recipes from going from your own kitchen pantry to these fresh bulk ingredients that co-packers are using? And that's a perfect example. You already had to take an ingredient completely out because the freshness of it just didn't work on the palate of that blend. So that's super interesting to know.
Yeah, and with Pack and Heat, which is our spicy blend, we wanted to target people that actually loved spicy. You either love spicy stuff or you don't. Yeah. We don't care about anybody that doesn't like spicy. They say, oh, it's too hot. We wanted to make sure it was hot. And every time we would get our samples back and we would cook it, a lot of the heat would come out. We'd send it back. We'd have to increase, habanero and stuff like that. Yeah. And
she maced our child.
I did.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
we got a sample back in, and my son is at the age where he knows what Reload is, and he walks up and she's like, "Hey, we got a brand new flavor,
Let's smell it.
You want to smell it?" Well, a child, I can't remember what his age was, but was he 4? Anyways, instead of sniffing in like a devil, he blew out and shot 2 types of habanero and cayenne and all this jazz right
in his
eyeballs.
Out
of his eyeballs.
There's trial and error. There's trial and error whenever you got a business.
And trauma.
And trauma. He's alive and well.
And he just can't see anything, but he's alive. He thinks he's well.
We knew from his cries that it passed the test.
Yes. And from his screams, we knew that was the one.
No, he's fine.
4-year-old approved. So with something like starting a spice company, it costs a lot to make the blends. Everything else that goes into it, the margins are quite small once you get the packaging and the shipping and the website and the socials and the marketing. How do you go about psyching yourself up in a way that you're kind of diving all in on selling something that doesn't have, I don't know your margins, but I assume they're not massive margins, and you're selling, a shaker of seasoning for $10 when you're putting tens of thousands of dollars into creating it, hoping it sells. What is the mindset like to deal with that? Because a lot of people start these online businesses where if they don't sell anything, they're at least not spending much, right? But if you're selling a physical product, you have to have the product before you can sell it. Can you kind of talk me through like what that is like and what kind of mental gymnastics you have to do for yourself?
Well, man, so it's anytime that you have a small business and you're thinking of, I'm going to create a new product, or even if you're just starting that business in general, I got to have that upfront money. That's a scary thing. You hear all the time, we put our entire life savings into this business. Well, that's because they did. You know, they had to put a bunch of money up there for a hope and a prayer that it would stick. And so for me, I'm in the mindset of everything's going to be okay. You know, but no,
it'll be fine.
No, I mean, because at the end of the day, this is my mindset is as long as my children have clothes on their back, a bed to sleep in, and food in their bellies, we'll make adjustments and we'll make it happen. And I think people fail a lot of times in small businesses because they're so concerned of, if I'm not making money right now, if I'm not making 50, 60 grand in my first year, then I'm a failure. And we went so many years and still are a little bit to this day of, you got to put the money back in the business. Mm-hmm. You got to water the plant in order to get it to grow. And
that's my word of advice is, you know, I wouldn't recommend going into it if you are wanting to start a company right off the bat for income. You know, fortunately for our situation, we didn't create the business as, you know, was going to put food on the table. It was going to put clothes on our backs. We had that worked out. Mm-hmm. This was a venture that we were going to go on. We knew ahead of time that everything that we were going to make was going to go right back into it to expand. And in the course of 4 years, I mean, it's expanded so much between the amount of flavors, the amount of sizes, apparel, all of that. Our inventory has just absolutely exploded. But it wouldn't have gotten to that point. We wouldn't have been able to create new flavors, new labels, new designs and stuff like that if we hadn't have taken the profit from the beginnings and reinvested it into that. Had we said from day one, okay, we've got to have these profits to pay the bills, we wouldn't be where we're at.
Yeah, and
at least for us personally.
Yeah, and we're fortunate that, you know, we started this company with our own hard money, and to this day we don't have any investors into our company. And some people, that's a route you have to go. If you are saying, I'm starting this company and it's going to be my income.
And you can do that route
with
investors.
Well, that's what I'm saying. To an extent,
yeah.
you need a backer. You need somebody that's going to get you moving, because that influx of cash right off the bat can really jumpstart things for you between ads, getting the product, you know, right off the bat. Like I said, we started with one flavor, bro. And
we've kind of done the snowball effect. Like little by little, we're packing it on, you know.
That's the way to do it, I think. I think a big mistake a lot of people would do too is come at you with 5 rubs right off the hop, and now your startup expenses are 5 times as much. Where, you know, you do 1 or 2 rubs, you can at least test the market and see if there's even a space for you. Because if there's not a space for you and you've got 5 rubs, you're in trouble.
Yeah, a proof of concept is definitely
100%
good to start out with.
But if you hit it, that's the risk reward factor there. If you hit it with those 5 rubs, then you're off to the races. Yeah,
and hopefully you have a backer, because by the time you get all the money back, it might be a little while before you see the reinvestment there.
That's the truth, very much so.
So I want to take a little pivot from the business side of it. And am I correct in saying that a large part, I mean, I guess you attested to it earlier in our conversation, but a large part of the success of Reload has been social media and social media influencers, right?
1,000%.
How, you know, like if you started a business in 2005 versus 2015, it was wildly different. You could basically only sell things locally, have a brick and mortar, or get into stores. And now, like, do you guys have your own storefront, or are you just right out of your own home?
So we do not have a storefront. We are in various stores throughout the country, and we're in one in Canada currently. But we don't have our own personally. We ship out from somewhere else. We've got a place where we keep our inventory, and we have people that ship. But had it not been for social media, I don't even know if we would even attack this personally, because it's just made it so easy to get your brand out there. There's various methods of doing it, and I think it's just made it a lot easier for businesses versus having to like do a commercial or a billboard or, you know, something like that. Social media is awesome. You have the opportunity to get your brand, your products in front of millions of people, depending on what route you decide to take.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you know, we're big on relationships. You know, we want to develop relationships with our customers. We do it with our squad. We have like an ambassador group. We call it the Reload Squad. And those people are like family to us. Yes. And we help them every way we can, and they do the same for us. But, to be able to send your product to somebody and then their people watch them cook with it, then they buy, and it's that combining effect of their people watch it, and then their people watch it, and their people watch it, and being able to do that, I feel that you have to be in this kind of business, especially social media. You have to be willing to sacrifice product as advertisement. Say, people get hung up on, well, I'm going to send you 5 rubs, and you owe me this many posts, and it's like, bro, you just better hope they use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we were lucky with Joel already having, a YouTube channel and a social media. It wasn't huge. It was like 11,000 followers at the time, but he had already built up credibility with them, with his cooking recipes and being on the show and stuff, and just being a bro, like just being friendly and having friends like that. So that credibility was there. So once we put the product out, a lot of people trusted it. But there's realms or other areas such as barbecue community, or, maybe fishing community or tactical or something like that, fitness community, where we did not have that reputation built up. We did not have that credibility. And when you have a plethora of people that are willing to stand by your product and say, I love your stuff, their followers and their friends have built that credibility up, and they go, oh, you know what? I trust them. If they like it, I'm going to get it too. And that really, really helps out a lot as a business.
I do that today.
I buy stuff from people that I watch all the time.
Yeah.
I did today. I bought some jerky that I saw on a different podcast.
Oh, and it was good, man.
I bought some jerky
really
from
good.
That's the influence of social media is just, it's so big now. And it's getting to the point that it's a little ridiculous. Like everybody, to an extent, everybody's kind of pushing something all at the same time. But, our brains are smart enough to be able to tune out like direct ads. But the way you get people to use your rubs authentically is what really helps stand out.
Yeah.
They're using it because they like it. They're not holding it like this, being like, today I'm going to make a burger with Reload fully loaded.
Yeah.
And then, like,
they're not using it because we're like sending them monies and tons of money or stuff like that. Like they're using it because they like it. They want to cook with it. And as a consumer myself, I think it's powerful. It's made my life better seeing people use products that I may never have heard of.
Well, what's humbling is the backdoor conversations you get when there are people out there that are paid by other companies to use their product, and they'll come and people we're friends with, and they'll come and be like, man, it's not as good as yours. And they don't have to tell me that. You know what I mean? And it's humbling to me to see people, and even people that are getting paid by companies to make posts, incorporating our stuff into their post without even, receiving $1 from us, and that, to me, that's proof of the product in there. And that's why I'm so glad that in the beginning of this, I know I'm jumping around, but in the very beginning of this venture, we did not sacrifice our integrity with our craft just to save some pennies. If the bottle has to cost $13, it's going to cost $13 because I want what's in that bottle to be on your food.
I mean, we do that with fine bourbons.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You pay for what you get, right?
It's true.
And honestly, if you actually break down our bottle cost, our regular size bottles are $9.99. Our larger ones, there's a lot more savings because there's more rubs in it, but it's just one bottle. But if you break it down, the cost per ounce, and you see some of these other brands that are out there that might be only $5.99 a bottle or $6.99 a bottle. But the bottle looks the same size, but it's half the weight.
So now we're getting into seasoning debunking right here. Seasoning myths.
Yeah, do the cost per ounce, and we're cheaper.
Because I do it with beer, man. I'll go to the grocery store and I'm looking at beer. I'm like, okay, well, this one's on sale and this one's on sale. But this one, I'm getting a better price per ounce. So I'm getting more beer for my money. But the same thing with seasoning. You look at the ounces in that bottle and look at the cost per ounce and equate that to what you're getting. Because there's so many out there that the bottles are contorted or made.
They might be as tall, but they're thinner.
Made certain ways. So that they look like they're the same amount, but they're not. And I'll tell you, another myth that it's escaped me. Well, one that I love is that, here it is. I remember now. All right, so check it out. I got this bottle right here in my hand.
He's ready.
And it's ready for you. So
They're everywhere.
when you pick up a bottle of seasoning, when you go and you're at the store and you're perusing around and you're looking and you're trying to decide, do I want this one or do I want that one? When you turn that bottle over, on the back, there's going to be a list of ingredients. And it'll say all these ingredients, and then it'll have like secret recipe or whatever at the bottom. The first ingredient on that label is the most prevalent ingredient in that bottle. So if it says sodium or salt, that's the most
sugar. Most of them are sugar.
Yeah, that's the most stuff in there. Same thing with sugar and all that stuff. So when you look at that, turn it over and take a look at it. I'm looking at my high caliber blend right now, and it says chili pepper and dehydrated garlic. That's the first two you see on there.
And mustard and dehydrated onion.
She's going down the list.
You didn't rate it all. I'm just kidding.
But that's what I'm getting at is you can get some seasonings and all you're getting is filler. You're getting a bunch of filler, and you're not getting the flavor and the things that you deserve to be putting on your food. When you buy like our blends, for instance, a little goes a long way versus other seasoning companies. And I'm not trying to hate on them. I just want to educate. This is part of us giving back to our consumer. I want to educate people on when you're shopping for seasonings, look at these factors and factor that into how you're buying. And another thing too is with all of our blends, the anti-caking agents we use are rice hulls as opposed to silicone dioxide that other ones use. So we try to keep everything as natural as possible. And I believe that's part of our success and why people keep coming back is because we didn't skimp in those areas. And we said, hell or high water, our recipe that came out of our kitchen is going in those bottles.
And I think if you decide to have your own company, from this, if you decide to put out your own product, whether it's seasonings or whatnot, talk about those things as to why you are the prices that you are or why you take pride in your product. Stand behind those and talk about those differences.
I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody creating a blend that way. I don't. If you want to just say, I want to be in the seasoning biz, and you want to call a co-packer and say, give me a barbecue blend, give me a steak blend. You want to say those things and do that, more power to you. Get after it and work hard doing it. That's just how we run our business. And anybody that is thinking about, well, I can't be successful that way, well, you can look at us, and yes, you can.
Yeah. So you guys utilize ambassadorship programs and stuff. You've got your family there. A lot of listeners here want to, like, one of the first steps in making any sort of money on the side of, taking pictures, whether it's in food or barbecue and hunting, is ambassadorship deals. So they're probably listening to this podcast trying to figure out what they need to do. What are you guys looking for in a team member to represent you?
So I would like to think that we're a little bit different when it comes to who we're choosing to be on our team. For one, it just puts a grin on my face when you were either a previous customer or you've actually bought a bottle yourself. You invested your own self into it. You could buy one bottle and you like it and you pitch, a good relationship. I'm all for it. Second, another thing that I look for, I'm not looking for millions of followers. We're looking at engagement. We're looking at that engagement percent.
Yes, 100%.
We have coupon codes that we've given out in the past to some of our ambassadors, and I will tell you, the ones that are used the most are the ones with the least amount of followers. It just seems like they have a more organic following. So that means a lot. Looking at the comments, looking at your engagement, looking at what you're putting yourself out there, and also not being a butthead. Like, we're not going to affiliate ourselves with anybody that's going to be just a giant doucher. So that's super important to us as well.
No douche lords.
No douche lords.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, engagement and just, putting yourself.
Well, there's got to be quality there too.
You're not just looking for free stuff. Like, you really believe in the product. And a lot of our squad members, I mean, I'd say all of them, but a lot of them have become like our best friends. We've had them visit us. We've had Cheeky Barbecue. He was on your show.
Yes.
He's one of them.
I was listening to that episode earlier too.
Yeah, him and his wife flew down here for their honeymoon and stayed with us, and we just had a great weekend with them. And they've just become such close friends, and it's been a very beautiful thing, even if you separate that from the business aspect.
Yeah, and outside of that too, we look for quality though. At the same time, as you can have great engagement, but we want to see a good quality product on your pictures, your videos, and we want to see a genuine product. I don't want somebody out there that's being, like she said, a douche lord or something. I want somebody that's going to have some, a little bit of respect, that they're repping our product.
And that actually brings up a pivoting as to what we look for. One thing that's super important for me is recipe creation. Helping us fluff up our recipe section on our website, content creation. So, you could have 50,000 followers and you're putting out all these videos with millions of views or whatever, but if it's not something that we can actually use or want to promote, it's not of any value whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So honestly, it's just putting out recipes that you and cooking that people can really take value from.
And
we want to enhance our customers, their lives. So whether it's teaching them how to cook, teaching them how to skin a deer, teaching them how to, load a firearm, how to cook a brisket, how to light your charcoal, anything like that. Like those are all valuable things to teach people, especially ones that are entering into the community as newbies.
And that's one of the more important things with ambassadorships that I think a lot of newer people to this don't really think about is they're thinking, if I just share your product, people will buy it and I'm helping. But you want to provide value for the company that you're representing, because if you're providing value for that company, in turn, you're providing more value for yourself and your own brand. And you're just going to further establish yourself as a trusted person in the community, which the hunting community and the barbecue communities are all built on being trusted people. If there's someone who's being a douche lord, they get exiled almost immediately, right? Like there's no room for that. And if you're going to try and just ask for free stuff to do whatever, you're not going to make it very far at all. You're going to get maybe one package of free things and that's it.
That's it. Dude, so Stacy has a really good eye for someone that's like a talented person. And we've had several people that we've worked with currently and in the past that she has picked up on when they had no following. And she said, this person is going to be special. Mm-hmm. And we would invest in that person and we would pour into that person and they would do the same for us because we were doing it for them. And they've grown and become great social media influencers or have their own businesses. But the key is that relationship we developed wasn't a one-sided relationship where it's we're the company, you do the work. We were there for them as much as they were there for us. And that relationship stayed. And so because of that, they continue to support us even to this day.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that a lot of companies and a lot of new companies miss is developing relationships with people.
Yeah. And I think you just need to be transparent too as to,
be
what
honest.
your goals are and stuff.
Yeah. And have goals, I think, is a big part of it. There's people who just don't have goals. They're here to have fun and gain followers and get free stuff, but those aren't goals. They've just seen people they follow get free things and like, that could be pretty neat.
Yeah, and there's big bucks to be made with social media. With influencers and stuff.
Yeah.
There's big bucks to be made. And
I was talking to
ads and
Uncle Hemi Barbecue the other day, and he's just like, some 7-year-old kid made $1 million opening toys from the mail on YouTube. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, I can't compete with that. Come on.
I tell you, man, it's some people hit a niche and they can just roll with it.
I think that's why a lot of people go on The Bachelorette and The Bachelor and stuff like that, because afterwards they get an Instagram following and then all of a sudden like vitamin gummies and
vodka,
gin brands want to,
Yeah.
I can't stand that show. Oh my gosh. My partner watches it every week and she's like, oh, this happened and there's drama. I was like, you 23 girls in a room. Of course there's going to be drama. We're 23 dudes. They're like, these guys are being douchey. Like, yeah, there's 20 of them. Like,
there's
come on.
A bunch of alpha males.
And if I throw a bottle of Reload in their hands, nobody's on there to watch to see what they're cooking with. They're on there to look at them.
I know. Yeah.
So the marketing ploy you need now is to get Joel on the next Bachelor.
Yes.
And he's gone. You're gone episode 1. It's fine. But you're going to cook up a great wild game meal full of Reload rubs.
You're right. That's it. I promise I won't lock lips, honey.
Okay.
You'll actually probably make it to episode 2 if you're cooking like that, though. So there's a bit of catch-22.
You know what? That's what would happen. And they're like, he has a wife. And then that's how it would backfire on me right there. Yeah. No, bad idea.
Reload Rub is a bunch of adulterers. No. All right. So we're running low on time here. I want to respect your Thursday evening. But quickly, I wanted to ask you about your podcast. You have that Reload podcast, episodes pretty well every week. You're either talking recipes. It's the Kitchen White Law that's on there with you. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the podcast and everything you want to tell me about it.
It's a great show, man. And it's a show that's based around all things food, outdoors, and just bourbon, and then just random anything else that's going on in this world. But more than that, it is food, outdoors, and bourbon. And we like to have fun with it. We try to do some crazy things on there. We have little games we play with people, little segments that each one of us will host from time to time. With the bourbon aspect of it, we do called Pouring on the Podcast, where we have the porn director at the time. And that's POR''N, if that's the country version of pouring. But yeah, so we'll do like blind pours, and it's been so much fun expounding our bourbon knowledge by doing just that, by comparing expensive pours to not expensive pours and seeing which ones will actually win in the blind tasting. But it's fun. We love it. We love involving guests and ambassadors and call-ins and all that. We have a lot of fun with it. It's lighthearted, and I suggest everyone subscribe.
What everyone wants to start a podcast at some point in their life these days, but what actually pushed you to get the gear to do it and start doing it correctly? Joel says, well, he points at himself emphatically.
Okay, so
she didn't want to do it, bro.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it, but I've got to say, we started out, Joel's always been really great in front of the microphone, and, it's a platform where we can share a lot of ideas, a lot of recipes, a lot of fun things, talk about our opinions on what's going on in life. But about episode 16 or 17, Jeremy, the Kitchen White Law, joined, and Farbecue, Matt Farr, and they joined our podcast as well. And that totally elevated the sound quality, the equipment we got, the content. We put so much more time and effort into the content. That elevated the game. And Matt, in particular, said,
Producer Matt,
put out an episode every week. Consistency is everything. And we stuck to that. We actually are in the middle of a slight sabbatical because we are reframing some things around. Yeah. With that, we'll be coming back very, very soon. But that's everything. That's where the elevation came from.
Well, and I think, too, it's having a format. I think that's not flying by the seat of your pants every single time. Having a format, having an outline, knowing what you're going to talk about, and being yourself. There's so much to be said about being true to yourself and not trying to be a show or a person that you're not, because you'll get burnout so quick. Just be yourself and enjoy what you do,
and drink lots of alcohol, because that's when the creativity starts to flow.
Bro, we've had some drag out podcasts.
I did scroll down and I saw a few that were over 2 hours. I was like, holy, that one's a long one. Yeah. It's funny you say that you need an outline because, I like it. It's funny you should say that you need an outline, because the one episode I clicked on today, you said, I don't have an outline, so I'm flying by the seat of my pants today. So I thought that was well timed that you brought that up. But
thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
So one last question here. In terms of the podcast, have you noticed any returns from the podcast to sales with Reload Rub? Because I know podcasts are an incredible way to just build loyalty with fans, find new audience members or potential customers in that. And then this is a way that you're just talking to them each week in an intimate setting instead of, through Instagram and stuff like that. So you're building more trust with your with your customer base. Have you guys noticed an uptick since the show's really gained some traction from that?
Oh yeah, because 116 episodes in, people really get to know us. They know our kids' names.
That's the key.
They know our relationship and stuff like that. And so they want to invest in us. They want to invest in that. Secondly, we've had several people that have came on the podcast who we've formed friendships with, who in return have said, hey, I've got a store that, listened, or a buddy that I'm friends with that's a store and wants to get your stuff in there. So there's been times where it's opened up our audience to people that said, hey, I'd never seen your brand before. I like it. Let's get you on board with, yada, yada store, or this website, or,
well,
such as that.
I think too, more than anything, it gives your customer base an opportunity to know you on a personal level. Like they really get to know who you are, and if they jive with that, they're going to keep supporting you. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast, is because it was constantly putting me and Stacy in people's ears. You know, for us to hear our food knowledge, to hear our personalities and the things that are going on in our lives. It gives them a sneak peek into us on a weekly basis.
And it gives us a platform. Like, for instance, we a portion of all of our sales, website, retail, wholesale,
Everything.
whatever, are donated to Hungry Heroes, which is Amanda Riggin out of South Carolina. She has a nonprofit organization, Hungry Heroes, where they feed first responders, EMS, firefighters, police officers, military, and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of people might not look at our bottle and see that tiny little snippet that's on there. But when we're on the podcast and we can talk about that or connect with her, Riggin, and have her on the podcast, it allows, you know, it's just another avenue for people to learn about those things.
Yeah, that's great. And podcast is in a season right now where, you know, it's kind of what YouTube was in 2007 right now. And it's just getting started. Like, there's millions of them, but it's just getting started. And it's so fun to see more people in the barbecue and the hunting space kind of utilizing it as a way to grow themselves and their brands and kind of make themselves more successful by just, like, down to brass tacks. You're just building trust with other people by doing it. And that's going to help them believe in you more and be more loyal to your brand and your products. And it's a great marketing way to do that.
Absolutely.
Definitely this day and
I'm
age.
glad that I thought of it.
Yeah, good job. You were right.
Way to go, Joel.
You were right.
Whoa.
It's on recording.
Whoa, that's staying with me forever. I want you to send me that, buddy.
You were right. That's the title right there. Well, Joel and Stacy, thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your evening to talk to me. This has been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you for having us on.
Oh, dude, this has been great. Yeah. Best hour I've had in a while.
Yeah, your show's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. That's really nice to hear.
It's a totally different angle, and it's super interesting and super valuable. What each person brings on the show is super valuable to anyone that's listening.
Definitely.
So for anyone that wants to find you guys, where would you like to send them?
Tell them, Stace.
So our website is www.reloadrub.com. You can order on there. We're at various stores around the country as well. Not as many as we would like to be, but if you have a store that you want to see us in, you know, Let us a shout. Instagram, our handle is @ReloadRub, and we're @ReloadRub on Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And then if you want to find our podcast, @That Reload Podcast.
Then you can find me, my handsome mug, at That Reload Life. On Instagram, on Facebook, and that's it for me.
And I'm That Reload Wife, so you can see how it all ties together. But that's where you can find us. And you know, @Reload Rub on Instagram, shoot us a message anytime. You're going to get me. Any questions you've got, anything that you need, just holler.
That's it, man. We like to answer questions. We like to connect. So don't be shy. There's no dumb questions. Let us know.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, that's it for my chat with Joel and Stacy of Reload Rubs, and for this episode of Influential Barbecue. Be sure to go follow Reload Rubs and make sure you subscribe and listen to That Reload podcast. They have great conversations on that show. Always tasting new whiskeys, talking new recipes, and just talking shop all the time. It's a great listen. Thank you so much for tuning in this week to this episode of Influential Barbecue. You can find everything we talked about today on the show notes page at influentialbarbecue.com. If you or your business is looking to start a podcast, let me know. I recently started thepodcabin.com in order to help businesses launch their own podcasts. They've been thinking about it forever, but they just don't know how to get it started. I take that load off your shoulders. So let me help you go from nothing to a fully launched podcast with minimal extra work on your plate. I'll take care of all that for you, and you'll be off to the races. I'm Jordan Moore. You can follow my barbecue adventures on Instagram @TheBackyardBrisket. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Keep on grilling.